How you doing? Welcome to the channel. My name's Andy Trace. I am a freelance filmmaker. For about 10 years now, I've been running my own video production company. I make lots of content for various clients out there in the real world. But a couple of years ago now, I got my bike license and I've become absolutely obsessed with motorbikes. And that's what today's video really started out as. I wanted to learn what it was like to own a British 1950s or 1960s Triumph. And through my research, that's how I discovered Jamie. He invited me up to their secret location in Norfolk where they have an ongoing conveyor belt of these bikes coming in that they're working on. I was so excited to get the covers off. I thought it was going to be a weekend of roaring engines and grabbing incredible shots amongst the rolling hills of the British countryside. However, the truth of owning these bikes was soon discovered to be very different to those romantic notions that I had in my head. The thrills very quickly and quite literally turned into spills of oil, fuel, and the total loss of power on one of the Triumphs. A weekend of tinkering certainly wasn't what I signed up for, and these kind of hiccups would usually leave me super frustrated. However, Jamie and Simon have this really unique approach to life, which surprisingly quickly started to rub off on me. These guys are absolutely obsessed with the past. And it's not just in the clothes they wear and the bikes they ride, it's in their entire approach to life. Jamie runs British Militaria, where he sells authentic wartime clothing, and Simon operates Spirit of Britain, supplying vehicles, props and knowledge for those looking to recreate moments from history. And their love for times gone by permeates every single thing that they do. I mean, we had a lot to do to achieve the video I had in my head. However, when I arrived, they prioritised showing their support for a local auto jumble event that was going on that morning. And then the morning after that, they dusted off an old wartime Jeep and drove it to the local war museum for an event they were having that day. Spending time with Jamie and Simon, it really felt like I'd just gone back in time. I felt the warmth of true community spirit and camaraderie, something that I thought was lost in history forever. Time suddenly wasn't the most valuable commodity anymore. It was expendable in the pursuit to help others, and our joint mission of producing this video took a back seat in order to support the local community. But by taking this back seat, I was actually gifted the reality that this film shouldn't be about the preconceived ideas of what qualities these bikes have that bring fulfillment and enjoyment to the lives of the lucky owners. But instead, I had to kind of approach this video in a completely different way. However, before I do that, let's take a look at these bikes. I know that's why you're all here, so let's take a look at the first Triumph. I mean, come on, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better looking bike than this 1954 Triumph Tiger 500 Special that was completely built from parts by Jamie and his dad. And as someone who's only really experienced and owned Japanese bikes, in my first hour of being at the workshop I was definitely contemplating if I should sell up all my bikes to fund one of these. However, that thought process soon hit a dead end and you'll soon learn why. And as I said, the weekend started with a trip to the Auto Jumble, which I thought would be the perfect time to test out my roller rig, which at the time was my secret mount, plus a cheap Zion gimbal on Panfollow. I hadn't actually tested the rig yet, so I didn't want to throw on all my expensive gear for it to fall apart, so I thought cheap gimbal, cheap camera, the S5, play it safe-ish. So with the S5, with notoriously bad autofocus, set to autofocus, we were off. And to be honest, considering I was working solo, doing the driving and leaving everything on auto, I think we got some pretty good shots. I don't really want to give away my secrets of how I get these rolling shots, but if there's enough demand for it, if you let me know in the comments you want to see it, then I might just share my secrets with you. So the trip to the Auto Jumble was pretty plain sailing. The bikes performed and we got there and back without a hitch. The setup was a bit temperamental, it dropped out a lot because I was using an app to control it, but you know, it got the job done for what I needed. However, back at the workshop, Jamie noticed an odd sound coming from his bike, which needed some attention. And although happy with my rolling shots, you can imagine how eager I was to get more clips of the bikes from different angles. So looking over and seeing the bike go up on the jack, with Jamie getting out his workshop manual and leisurely looking through it, yeah, this wasn't ideal from my perspective. But that's when I spotted the amazing Ford Cortina. And I decided to shoot a little promo for Fuel motorcycles with a slightly different flavour to their usual content. And I have to say here, to be honest, that nobody's paying me to say this. Isaac from Fuel is such a nice guy. Obviously, I reach out to brands all the time to do shoots for them and either get completely ignored or just instantly rejected. However, Fuel and Isaac were just so open-minded, so willing, so keen, and it was just really, really refreshing to have such a cool brand be like that. So if you like your motorbike gear to be vintage styled, then definitely head over to Fuel and get yourself some stuff. I can't think of nicer people to give your money to. Anyway, back to the Cortina. Obviously I needed a model, and as if by magic, Jamie's girlfriend turned up, who they endearingly call Kitty Cat, and yeah, she helped me out. I always thought I missed non-power steering cars and the feeling of being linked to the road. However, driving this just for 2 minutes, trying to get it in the right position for the shot, absolutely killed me, and I just soon realised that actually power steering is a blessing. I really genuinely forgot how bad it was. So anyway, if you want to see the edit of the Cortina, check the link in the description. So I finished up with the Cortina, but unfortunately the Triumph Tiger in blue still wasn't ready. And it was time to close up the workshop. So we hit the road, without the bikes, to the pub. We had a few pints and dinner, and then I spent the night sleeping on Simon's sofa. And his front room was like this, it was like stepping back in time. It was so on brand for those guys, you know. It felt like I was visiting my relatives when I used to go to Ireland back when I was a kid. Everything was very rustic and stripped back, like lots of old photographs of family on the wall. And it was just like a really lovely, cozy experience to be there. I wish I'd filmed it. I didn't know this is how the video was going to go, and I didn't realise I was going to share all this kind of stuff. Also guys, if you're enjoying the video so far, please do me a favour and just hit that like button. Anyway, nursing a minor hangover, we were back at the workshop. This time I really wanted to focus on close-up details, especially on the fuel tanks. So I zoomed the kit lens in, locked the gimbal to look towards one side, and then it was pretty much just guesswork from there. I couldn't communicate with the guys on the bikes, so it was just trying to match each other's speed and get into the right spot, speed up a little bit or slow down a little bit to try and get the framing right. Very much trial and error, but eventually everything came together for a few sweet moments. But those moments were short-lived because I took another look up into my rearview mirror where I could see Simon just grounding to a halt. I dropped back to meet them to discover a blown fuse. Fortunately for Simon, my bikes have let me down so many times with blown fuses that I ended up buying 100 15 amp fuses and scouring them in all of my belongings so that I always have one or two with me wherever I go. So with a new fuse in, we're up and running, off again, and then literally 12 seconds later, Simon is grinding to a halt. So we decided to push the bike back to safety and wait for Jamie to bring a van to get it back to the workshop for, yeah, you got it, more tinkering. But to be fair, throughout the weekend I was in absolute awe of Jamie and his dad for their persistence, patience and expertise when it came to the internal workings of these bikes. I've worked on mine here and there and I know the basics, but these guys could clearly hold their own in a proper garage. However, sometimes with all bikes it's the simplest things that go wrong, and when grabbing a photo I noticed that a connection to the regulator at the front had come loose. Vibrations in British bikes pretty much go hand in hand, so it's safe to assume that it just jiggled itself loose. So once that was plugged back in, and a few changes were made to the wiring underneath the seat, we had just enough time and light to get some more shots with the drone. And that pretty much concluded my time with the Triumphs, and I ended up getting much less content than I really hoped for. However, the whole point of making this video was to capture exactly what it's like to actually own a Triumph, and so in a weird way that's exactly what I learned. It's like, it's not fun. They fall apart, they break a lot, and so owning one just really isn't for everybody. And it taught me about the unique mindset required to truly appreciate one of these machines. These bikes are absolute stunners, but obviously with my limited mechanical know-how, I'm not going to be owning one anytime soon. But my time in Norfolk did teach me a lot, that Jamie and Simon don't keep and work on these bikes for their own fulfillment, to pose, or for any superficial reason they might have control of. Instead, they're compelled to do so in order to preserve the bike's history when no one else will. Like a mother instinctively nurturing her young, Jamie and Simon are driven from deep within by the morals and work ethic of yesteryear. They continuously work hard to keep the hearts of these bikes thumping. I've never actually truly understood the phrase a labour of love until I spent the weekend with these guys. And we should all be so grateful that they and other people like them exist, because without them, these beautiful bikes simply would not exist in our world. So I want to say a very special thanks to Jamie and Simon for both having me, but also keeping these bikes alive. And of course, thank you guys for watching. I've had a baby recently, I've moved house, so it's been super tough to find the time to put together these films that I've shot over the last couple of months. But more are coming, and I promise there will be more. So if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and obviously, if you want to see those future videos when they come out, hit subscribe. I appreciate it, thanks.